In this video, I'll be looking into and researching existing film posters that have obviously been advertised for films that have already come out, very famous films, in fact, that are ones I've chose to analyse. Personally, I think that film posters are a crucial piece of advertisement for a film, because if the poster does not grab the attention of the viewer and it needs to make them look at the poster, and then if they look at the poster, they can think, actually, yeah, I wanted to see that, or, oh, that looks quite good, I want to go and see that film. And me, myself, I'm a massive movie poster fan. I really like having them as posters, and I feel that they look really nice when advertised in the cinema. I think that's one of the best things about going to the cinema, seeing these massive posters plastered up on the walls. There have been many good and famous posters over the years, which I'll be gathering inspiration from and analysing in order to make a good film poster for my film, Whispers of Yesterday. Obviously, I had this kind of little poster that I've been using that just has the smoke that just says Whispers of Yesterday. And just to make that clear, that is not my final poster. It's just a temporary one that I made up when I was doing some title research. And I feel that sometimes I just stick it in there just because it is my film name, and it's a temporary poster, I could say, for now, but it is nothing along the lines of what my actual poster is going to be. So obviously from this video, I hope to create and gather ideas for my own thriller film poster and use all the conventions that the film posters use, and hopefully this will help entice my target audience to come and watch my thriller film. And I just need to make sure it stands out and looks as professional as possible, because if it looks like a real movie poster, then it will greatly increase my chances of people coming to see my thriller film, Whispers of Yesterday. So the first film poster I decided to analyse is a fairly recent one, and it's from The Revenant, which came out late last year. So the film poster I will be analysing first is from The Revenant, which looks to me like a hard-hitting front cover for people to observe. And the reason I say hard-hitting more than intense or anything else is because, yes, it does have intense vibes, but something about this poster, whether it be the scars on his face, or you can see the cold atmosphere from all the snow on his beard and the editing techniques of the light and the orange light, it just looks quite hard here. You think, wow, that guy's been through a hard time. And yes, it does create intense, I suppose, because the intense part is, what could have possibly happened for him to look that badly beaten up. But I feel this is quite a good technique to use, having quite a serious, stern front cover character, because if it creates this question like I'm doing right now of what happened to that guy, what is this film about, especially if you've not seen the trailer or anything before you see the poster, you are going to be wondering, what could possibly have happened to this man. And I feel that if you do create questioning from the poster, you are very likely to gather a large audience to come and see your film, because they're going to be questioning each other. And if they're questioning to their friends, and then their friends questioning to their friends, this ongoing chain, it's going to get people talking about the film that will be coming out. And obviously, The Revenant being a big success, you could say partially some of that was due to the poster they created. It portrays a close-up on the character's face with a faint line of trees above his head and white snow on his hair and facial hair, which already implies he is cold and had to dig down deep to survive the experience he has been on, which again links into what I've just said about I guess the audience questioning what's been going on. And something about the poster is that they don't often imply the storyline. I suppose if no posters really, you can't portray a storyline through a poster. The posters is identifiable for the characters that are in the film, and also you could say some of the in particular themes that the film has, but never the storyline, because it's just not possible. So therefore, the poster does not rely on your storyline getting the audience to come and see the film. It relies on the character and the editing of the poster, you could say. So it does need to be hard-hitting, and it does need to stand out to the audience in order to make them want to come and see your film. This will already interest people into coming to see the film, as they will want to know why he is in the cold in the first place, and what he had to fight with to get those scars on his face. And obviously, if you've seen the film, you know what he did fight. I won't spoil anything, but say this film just came out and you hadn't seen the trailer. I think movie posters are always better when you haven't seen the trailer in some cases, because, for instance, this film will get you questioning. You could say a fairly recent film, Mona, which hasn't come out yet, and I haven't seen the trailers. You look at that and you see her and a man, I don't really know much about the film, on a surfboard in the sea, and that creates question itself. And no, I'm not talking about the film, I'm talking about The Revenant. It's just an overall thing that all these posters seem to create questioning. One does not, but I'll get into that later. But for now, let's just focus on all films. Thriller film posters seem to imply some sort of intense atmosphere for the audience to want to endure. So that is something that I will need to look into, since my film is in the thriller film genre. So it also, the close-up also lets the audience see the tension in the character's eyes, which gets us excited for the film, as we know it's going to be intense. Because also this intense face he's pulling is obviously going to show to the audience that, you know, he's someone that you don't want to mess with. And it's also going to imply something about his character. He could be quite a grumpy character. And I actually had an idea for my magazine to have something like that. But maybe if I don't use the close-up idea in my magazine front cover, it could come over to the poster and work then, because I feel that this is a really good idea. The direct address also pulls audience members into the poster, as the intense stare added to this will mean we feel uneasy and have to look and investigate the poster more so. Marking the actors who are in the film will also entice people to see it, because obviously if you have big names like Leonardo DiCaprio in this case, obviously people are going to think, oh, I like him, let's go and see. But I've also mentioned that though this method wouldn't work for me, because obviously I'm not having any famous Hollywood actors in my film, it would always be good to showcase new talent for the people, because obviously if they see new talents, you could say someone like Eddie Redmayne is a fairly new talent, and obviously after seeing him in a couple of roles now, people are really starting to like this. So people are optional to seeing new actors out there, because they know that there is potential for someone to become a massive superstar, you could say. So I definitely will be, I feel like I definitely will be using my actors' names on the front of the poster, much like they did, because I feel that, yes, my actors' names, Josh Chipperfield, Neve Garvin, Daniel Pitt, Mash Tort, they're not, nobody knows who they are. Barely even, some people even watching this video wouldn't even know who they are, but put them on the poster will entice people to say, oh, you know, new acting methods, how are these people gonna, are they any good? Have they got potential? And I feel that's a really good thing to do to promote new people in a poster. The next poster I analysed was Spectre, James Bond. This is something that I don't usually do. I don't usually like to analyse James Bond films or posters or anything like that. But this one really did stand out to me when looking at thriller film movie, action movie posters to analyse. This one really actually stood out to me. And obviously because I am doing a thriller film after all, I did try to pick more along the lines of action, drama, thriller kind of film posters, because they'll be the ones that I'll be looking will benefit me the most. And this one really did stand out to me. So I'll describe what the poster has in it, and then I'll describe what it was about this poster that inspired me so much, or enticed me so much, you could say. So Spectre has a medium shot of the protagonist, which is obviously James Bond, in a posh white suit with a silenced gun and folded arms, giving direct address to the audience. The background is a dark blue colour, which has a slightly faded image of a skeleton in the background. Behind Bond himself, which creates an uneasy atmosphere. So straight off the bat, the first thing to point out about the poster is that there is a skeleton outline. Well, it's not even an outline, it's an faded out skeleton in the background behind James Bond. Now, if you've seen the film, obviously it kind of makes sense, but if you haven't, and for me, for someone who hadn't seen the film when it first came out, it does create confusion. Because the first thing I remember thinking is, you know, James Bond, you know, it's casting Daniel Craig as James Bond. You kind of even look past that. That being the centre of the image should be where the eyes go to first, which it is. But as soon as you see that skeleton, your attention changes. and then you start to look at the skeleton, and that's where most of the questioning lies. Because, firstly, why is there a poster behind James Bond? This is not a sci-fi kind of horror film, so that doesn't make much sense. Is it a costume? Is it actually real? It does create confusion in the audience. And confusion is not always a bad thing, because confusion leads to questioning. And as I said in the previous section and many times before, questioning is good when it comes to marketing a film, because it means that people are talking about the film, and if they're talking about it, they want to see it. This is kind of, I'm repeating myself now, but the questioning is important, and that's why I need to make sure that I have something in my poster which could be quite controversial. Something about the poster needs to make people think, like, what is that? Whether it be John behind a gravestone or John looking at a gravestone, the question could be, why is he looking at a gravestone? There's so many different aspects you could take, which I think could work well into advertising my thriller film movie to the audience to make them want to come and see it. So this will draw people into the poster because it leaves the question for the audience on what the skeleton is and what it is doing there on a James Bond poster. The direct address will also bring people into the poster and make them realise who it is in the film, which is the famous James Bond. And James Bond alone is enough to make people want to come and see this film, because this sounds quite strange, but if you tend to see a famous character, whether it be Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars, James Bond, a Marvel character like the Hulk or Iron Man, if people tend to see a character that they've already seen before, they will already automatically think, I want to see that film. Even if the film looks rubbish, they'll say, I want to see that film. Now, obviously, I don't have the pleasure of using a character that's been established in my film, so I can't do this, whereas James Bond can. However, the pose that James Bond in alone makes him look like a cool character, which people will think, he looks cool, I can relate to him, I want to go see that film. So though, yes, he has an advantage on people coming to see him because he's famous, it's a lot in the costume and the pose. And also that leads me on to the costume, because the costume used works well, but not only because for the character, obviously that's a classic James Bond convention to wear a suit, but it also works well for the overall look of the poster because it creates a really nice contrast with the dark background and the bright white blazer. And obviously, you can say this has nothing really to do with the poster or movie and doesn't convey anything in the movie. But another crucial thing about a poster is that it has to look nice. If a poster does not look nice, then what's the point of making the poster? You could just slap Captain Jack Sparrow on a blank white screen in a obviously cut out Photoshop image, and it would not have the same effect as putting Captain Jack Sparrow on a sunny beach with a pirate ship in the background. Everything matters about the poster. If it doesn't look nice, then people are going to think, oh, that looks good. They're going to think, oh, that looks a bit naff, and they're not going to want to see it. So yes, conveying little bits of the character and the story in the poster is crucial. It's even more crucial to make the poster look good. The composition of the poster, having Bond in the centre, works well because the symmetry in the model will draw people into the poster because it looks quite nice. And it makes the poster look staged, which is obviously not a bad thing, because it works really well in this case. And obviously if it looks staged and looks like it's meant to be there, then people are going to think it's something that clicks into the human brain. If it looks neat, then people will tend to like it more. Just like a neat room, or if it's a messy room, they won't like it. The poster looks messy, no. But if it looks quite nice and staged, then yes. The gunning of the poster also creates suspense, as guns are a dangerous weapon and symbolise to the audience that there will be action in the movie, which will get them excited to see the full film. And also using props, I feel that will be a really good thing to use when making my poster, because if you're using props, people are going to, not only does it add to maybe the character or the setting or the location or the storyline of the film, but obviously this little gun here obviously conveys that there will be action and things will get dangerous in the film, especially with the skeleton behind. So it's also creating that intense atmosphere in a poster, which I already spoke about in the last one, which I'm really inspired by, because by using intense posters, you are going to get people excited to see your film. The next poster I chose to analyse is one for Inception. Now, Inception, compared to, in fact, all the other films I analysed, this one really stood out to me because it is different, and I will go through that. And something about it works really well. but also we'll get into that. So Inception takes a slightly different approach to the previous poster, as has the model facing away from the camera, standing in water with buildings and dark sky surrounding the character. The model was dressed in a suit and has a knife in his hand, which creates a suspenseful atmosphere, because a knife is a very dangerous weapon, and it makes the audience wonder how he's going to use it against like, an enemy, which will get us excited to see the film. So, straight there, I'll describe the poster. One thing that stands out to anybody first seeing this film is that this guy is dressed in a suit standing in water, surrounded by buildings. So the first thing is that why is there water? Because if he's standing by buildings, he's obviously, and considering how close the buildings are to him, it's obvious that he's in a city. So if there is water on the floor in like a flood in a city, that is going to imply that something very bad has happened or is going to happen. And that links in with the Blau sky. You could say it's some kind of freak storm that's occurred or something like that. But having a confusion, like something like this to confuse the audience, is what we were talking about earlier with creating like questioning in the audience. Because this is obviously an obvious one. People are going to be asking why he's in this water. Why is there water in the city? And that alone is enough to make people want to come and see the film. Because if they see something that they do not see in like their everyday lives, so something that's very out of the ordinary, people tend to become very interested by it. I know that is something personally by myself. It's something that you do not see every day, or something you could say, a loose term, freak of nature or something like that. It interests me and makes me want to find out more. And I think that happens for quite a lot of people because we are interested by the unknown. And obviously, this has not really happened before to this level of intensity of flooding in cities, but it still creates an atmosphere where people are going to think, you know, wow, that looks bad. I wonder what happened to make that happen, and obviously want to go and see the film. Having the model stand in water gets the audience questioning about the film, because it is not a normal thing to do, obviously, and makes the audience wonder why he is standing in the water in the middle of what looks like to be a big city. Having the model dress in a suit portrays him as quite a classy character, which contrasts nicely with the fact that he is standing in water, because he's standing in water, yet he's dressed in a nice suit. So that alone creates nice contrast in the poster, because if he was standing... The way to make this sound better is that if he was standing there in swimming gear, it would maybe look like a comedy film. It may still look like a bit of a disaster, but it'd look more a comedy film because, you know, the whole place is flooded and he's getting ready to swim in it. Whereas standing there in a suit makes it look very serious and intense, like a thriller film should be. So that just shows that little things like costume affect massively on the outlook on what the genre of the film may be. And then having him face away from the audience also creates an interesting and intense atmosphere, because it makes the character more mysterious and makes me as an audience member want to know more about this character, which entices me to see the film. So obviously, if someone's facing away from you, it creates quite an intense atmosphere. So it will be quite good to have my main character face away, because no one knows much about him anyway. This could entice people more to see the film because they want to find out about the film anyway, and then I feel like this could be a way to push that effect. And also, something else about the film is that it's very dark colours, you know, dark water, dark suit, dark sky, everything about it is very dark, which fits the theme of the film, which is something that I need to look into, because my film is very dark, filmed some bits at night, so it will be in my best interest to make my colours scheme quite dark in the poster in order to make it link into my film and link into the thriller film genre as a whole, because if a poster is quite dark, looking quite intense, you are going to see, it does imply that it is from the thriller film genre. The next thriller film, well, not really a thriller film, but the next movie poster I decided to analyse was something from the action genre, which has established itself now, but back then it was still quite a new character bursting onto the scene. And this, if you haven't guessed it, is Thor, the God of Thunder, from Marvel Studios. Because obviously, Marvel is such a huge conglomerate which the characters are already established. And yes, Thor was obviously in magazines many, many months ago. But at this time, bursting onto the cinema screen, some people, unless you're a comic book fan, had not heard of who Thor is. Therefore, he was still quite a new character, and that's why I've kind of tried to take a bit more inspiration from this, because I like the positioning of where he is, and I like the fact that his character wasn't really established back when this film first arrived onto the movie scenes. So Thor takes a slightly different approach to the movie posters I have already analysed. The poster consists of the Marvel hero Thor in a close-up, giving direct address to the audience. And the poster takes a slightly simple approach, which I feel is to grasp the audience, but still, and it's still really effective, because yes, it is quite a simple poster with quite bland, but at the end of the day, most posters are actually quite simple. Now you think about it, none of them have that much going on, but at the same time, they still manage to grasp the audience. So that implies to me that I do not need to go overboard on putting so much in the poster that you can't really, it looks a mess. Keep it simple, and I feel that in that way, it will still be effective to my audience. So continuing from that, the main point of this, why I chose this poster, is that it has a red filter placed over the image, which creates a different look on the poster, making it seem slightly darker, which could imply something about the storyline, which is up to the audience's interpretation, which is a good thing, because it means the viewers will be talking about the film and telling their friends if they haven't already. So that leads into the questioning part. But the thing that intrigued me most about the fact that there was a red filter on the poster is that because of this red filter placed over it, if that was to be taken away, it would have such a different effect on the poster. So with the poster now, talking about the poster now with the red filter, creates a sense of danger and anger, and it makes it feel like quite a dark film for an action film. It makes it quite dark for a Marvel film. However, if we were to remove that filter, it would be, Thor's blonde hair, normal face, probably a lot darkish background, but the fact that the colour of his face would gleam off, it would create a different idea. The fact that it may not be as intense as it would be with the filter. It also gives a feeling of a sense of danger in the film, and with this sense of danger and the direct address of the poster, it will mean that more people can't help but look at the poster and want to investigate what the film is and why it looks so dark and mysterious, even though it is a Marvel film. The close-up of the character of Thor works well, because even though in my thriller film my character is not well known for, even though that he's not well known at this point, he still had posters, so people are aware of what he is and who the God of Thunder is. It can be used to create an intense poster through facial features, which will get people interested in the poster. The text pasted over the image is a tagline of the film, which gives a little bit of information to the audience on what to expect in the film and what they want to watch. So we'll see with the text placed over the God of Thunder, it gives a little bit of knowledge to the audience of who this character is and what he does. And that could be quite a good thing to use in my poster, because I could give a little bit of information about what my character John is like and why people need to watch out for him in the film, but also this intense facial features that John could be pulling work well, because that links into his character and people will be interested to find out more about his character and what he has to do in this film. And also, Thor pointing this intense direct address makes people want to look at the poster and think, what is he doing? And I feel that I could capture this same effect with John in my thriller film. And also the red filter poster, and the red filter creates this quite dangerous and plain out angry atmosphere. though I do not plan to use a filter over my character because I feel that for my case it may drain the energy of the poster, I still am inspired by this idea because I feel this is quite a bold move to make. And though I may not use a filter that heavy, I could still put on a slightly red filter, because even a hint of red, implies danger, anger. So even if you just had like a tiny bit of a red filter, maybe if you did it, you had the opacity very, very low. So it's just a hint. It could work well into conveying that John is an angry character, which then again will get people to look at the poster and then want to see the film because they want to find out more about the character of John in the movie Whispers of Yesterday. The next movie poster I decided to analyse was a slightly different one, which took quite a different approach compared to the rest of the movie posters I analysed, which was Lincoln. And this poster takes a serious approach and portrays an already famous figure who was once a living person, which will really create interest and speculation in the audience when they first see the poster, because obviously, especially with someone that was president of the United States, even if you don't live in the United States, you tend to know who's president. So, Obama, Donald Trump, so on and so forth, even if you don't live in that country. And if you do live in that country, it creates massive controversy. I mean, even over here, there was controversy between Trump and Hillary Clinton. So there is always that kind of political debate. So whether you love Lincoln or you hate his views, even though he reigned a long time ago, it still will create kind of a tension between two kind of different views in people, you could say. So that's already going to get people talking why have they created a film on Lincoln? Oh, because he did this. Oh, okay. And then once again, it's that key thing I would say, it gets audiences questioning about the film, which goes their interest in it. It portrays Abraham Lincoln in a close-up, looking as if he is thinking about something. And he's not giving direct address, he's not even looking at the camera, it's a side-on view, which I think works really well, because much like the Inception poster, it creates this mystery because you can't see his full face, you're wondering, what he's talking about. But it also creates this sense of, he's thinking, he's powerful, he's thinking of a plot, so on and so forth. So there's quite a lot of different things that this could imply. So not only is this a great poster to draw people in because of everything we've just discussed about him being a president, but because this character is such a big hit in real life, it encourages people even more to find out what the film is, even if they do not like him that much because of all the speculation it causes. So the black and white creates a serious tone, and it does not feel like it's being overloaded with information, and it appeals to the eye. Something that I would like to point out about the fact that the poster is black and white is the fact that it's quite a different colour scheme. If you think about all the other posters I've analysed, Thor, had a dominant red, but none of them had these kind of contrasting colours. And I think that works really well because the kind of darker model of Lincoln and the bright white background with the black text, I feel creates a nice contrast, which, as I said, creates a nice image for the viewer. And as we said earlier, that a poster has to look nice for it to be successful. It doesn't matter if you have the world's most informative poster. If it doesn't look nice, it won't succeed in what it's designed to do. And I personally really like this black and white. It's a monochrome type image where one of them is a bright white and the other one is quite a dark black, so it creates a real nice easy contrast. And I think that really does work because it does show a little bit of tension in the poster, because obviously they're quite hard-hitting colours. However, something I did think about is, does it seem too much like a drama film? Because obviously this is a drama film, really, if you think about it. Because obviously it's not really much action or any of the convention of a thriller film. It's got the convention of a drama film having a hard-hitting story. So does these colours, are they too mature for a thriller film? I feel like if I used the black and white shades just on my poster, it may create a different sense of what I'm trying to appeal, because it looks like black and white is quite a mature colour, and I just don't really think that those shades will fit my poster. However, I'm still massively inspired by it, and I still plan to use quite hard colours within the poster for this reason, that I can see how much of a beautiful effect it can create if done well. This poster is quite simple, as the poster is gripping and makes me want to find out more about the film, as well as the poster being visually stunning with the basic style of the poster. So obviously it is quite, at the end of the day, it is quite a simple poster. It's literally just a model white background text. It's probably the simplest out of all the posters I've analysed, yet it still manages to keep so effective. And that's the thing that amazes me. It doesn't have to have all this overloaded information or lots of detail in the face. It's literally just the person and the background. And though I probably would like to have a little bit more going on in my poster, it still amazes me how this poster has managed to create and grasp the audience attention from this little thing of literally just a model. And that may be because the model is a famous figure and people know who Lincoln is, or it could be because it just visually looks stunning. The poster looks visually stunning. So because this poster is nice to look at, it will encourage people to see the film. Because also, as I keep saying, if the poster doesn't look nice, it won't encourage people. If it looks nice and it stands out with the bright white background, if the light hits that, that's gonna create a really nice effect. And because it's so bright, people are going to be drawn to it, even though there's no direct address. They make up for that with a bright white background. So people are going to look at it and think, wow, you know, I heard of that guy, I want to see what he's doing in this film. And overall, it's just a great poster to get the audience interested into seeing the film. So the final poster I decided to analyse was quite a generic poster, which I've done quite a lot of, and the movie itself I've done quite a lot of research on already. However, because I've done so much research on it and I've looked into all different types of, you know, what the this film holds, I feel like it'd be quite beneficial to me just to see what they've done with the poster, which will lead me on to my next video when I compare a film to a poster to a magazine front cover, which I'm looking forward to doing. So obviously the film is Taken, if you hadn't guessed it, and the poster for Taken uses a different method to bring the audience's attention to the poster itself. So that already should create quite a nice suspenseful image, saying that it's how different it is, and it is quite a different approach. That's why I chose this poster, because of how different it is, really, more than anything else. Having the character from the film face away in dark lighting creates a scary looking figure. It uses a new method of pasting a quote on top of the image from the movie, which is something probably never seen before. And this is why I wanted to bring this poster in particular, because it's not just a little quote, it's a long quote from the film, and it works really well actually. Having it pasted over, and because it still has the title, it still has the background, but this quote gives people something to read. And because obviously they see a poster, they're gonna say, for the Lincoln poster, there's, other than the title, there's not really much going on. You look at it, you think, wow, that is a really nice picture, and you think, oh, I kind of want to see that film. But if it has text on it, people aren't just going to say, oh, look, they're going to read that text, which is already going to get people like kind of looking into the film, and you know, and they're going to think, even if they're just glancing past, they're going to think, they're going to read it before they turn back away. And that is a good opportunity to get people excited for your film, because if you chose a really good quote from the film, which Taken did, it's still a really famous quote to this day, and the film came out nearly 10 years ago, in a couple of years. So that's something to look into. And as I say, this is a good method. I like good, as it will draw people into the poster, because it is different. It is different, and they'll want to read the text on the poster to see what the quote says, and that to me should highlight enough to kind of like, it's a great method. Because of how much text it's got on there, people will stand there and read it, which means they are looking into the poster and they're researching the poster themselves, even if they're just reading the text. They're going to think, wow, that sounds quite intense. I want to go and see that film and see what this guy's talking about and stuff. And then there you go, bada bing, bada boom, people are coming to see your film. However, in my poster, I feel this may block the image, which will draw people away from my poster and therefore will not be interested to coming to see my thriller film. So because, even though at the time this was fair enough, it was, and they were new characters. And yes, it does work for Taken, but however, I personally feel at my skill level, I might not be able to pull this off. I would quite like to take a slightly different approach and just take a more basic pill. I feel if I block my character, it may take away from the poster. Now, something that Thor did when it just had the God of Thunder, just 4 simple words planted across his face. They didn't really block his face too much. Whereas Taken seems to have this whole mask covering the poster. And obviously it's not just on a face, it's on a whole body, so it's not the same as Thor, but I feel that it just kind of blocks away from the... I feel if you took away the words from the Taken poster, then it would still give the same effect that it would... If it didn't, the words makes people read it. Fair enough. If you didn't have the words, I mean, the fairness, the title Taken alone should grasp people in. But if you took away the words, you think, would the title still be successful? And I say yes, the poster. And I say yes, the poster still would be successful because you still have that kind of that mysteriousness of this man standing in the dark, and all you can see is the man in the dark, and it just says Taken. It makes him look like the antagonist, in fact, with or without the text. And that itself I should talk about in just a second. The dark lighting on the model creates a suspenseful atmosphere as we cannot clearly see his face, which creates interest in the audience to find out who this character is, as well as creating an intense atmosphere because we can see from the dark shadowing, the tiny part of his face we can see, that this man is he's not happy. And it looks as if he's going to hurt someone, which will excite the audience to go and see the film. And as I was saying about the model, him himself makes it look like the antagonist as such. Because of this like dark lighting and this evil face he's pulling, you think, well, he's the antagonist. He's probably the one who's taken whoever is taken in this film. Sorry for the pun. But the text itself, the main part about the poster is the text. With the text on there, yes, people come and read it. Take it away, yes, you've still got a great poster. So that's something to look into. Maybe I could try putting text over it. But the thing is, even if I decided to put text over the image, if the main image in the back if it isn't a good image, then there's no point having the text because people aren't going to care. So what I'm saying is that the back image, it matters as much, if not more, than the text, because it's still, that's what's drawing people in firstly, and then they read the text on top of that. However, Taken is a brilliant poster, and I have taken massive inspiration from it. So that's all the posters I have decided to analyse. I chose quite a few variety, I decided, and ones that I feel that had uniqueness in themselves, such as Taken, therefore they all had something slightly different in them, which completely changed the theme of the poster. So overall, all these movie posters are brilliant in their own way, because a movie needs to grab the attention of the audience, as a poster not only portrays a glimpse of what the movie may include, it is used to excite people about the movie, because it shows how great, and if it excites people to the movie, that shows how great the poster really is. The posters use different techniques from one another, but all work effectively because they're all very applauded films. From this research, I'll be able to put ideas towards my own poster for the thriller film Whispers of Yesterday, to make it as effective as possible to get people to come and see my thriller film. So from this, I'll be able to make a brainstorming session in a couple of posts' time to start to get to know what I want my thriller film poster to look like. It needs to convey all the conventions that these posters have, as well as the most important thing, excite people to see my film, because if people aren't excited to see my thriller film, then what's the point of even doing it? And I feel like the poster is a massive, massive step in the marketing technique for this. And what I've learned from all these posters combined is that don't be afraid to step out of the box, because obviously Thor with the red filter, the black and white effect of Lincoln, the text overtaken,
these something that, when pitched, would you say that's insane, that would ruin the poster, have actually made the poster better. So if I try some new techniques and muck around while on the software, I could find